Hi there. My name is Matt. You don't know me, I don't know you, but I felt like I wanted to respond, and I thought it'd be easier to make a video, and also I think it's probably more personal. I think it definitely is more personal, and I know that you're in a situation. So look, I'm about the same age, roughly, and but my background is not in UX necessarily. I've been an engineer for my career, and but I run a company that is focused on UX design called Planorama. And I'm only saying that because I've learned some things about design along the way. You would hope so if I'm going to run a company about design, but in reality, I think designers sometimes get pigeonholed, and it might be worth looking at your situation as a way to, I hate to say rebrand because that's not a term you want to hear right now as a 48-year-old person. And it certainly sounds like it's a cliche. But look, the way that I'll tell you what I do. I market design for we have my company designs software, and we focus on complex software at that. Design, in my mind, is all about requirements, all about figuring out what the requirements are. And many times, and you know this, right? Design gets lumped in with development. Design is more or less, sometimes people think of it as just make the screens look pretty, and it gets reduced, right? Designers get reduced to an option. And whereas in every other engineering discipline, like I spent about half my career as a chip designer, and design in electrical engineering and computer engineering and structural and industrial and civil engineering, design is a necessary component, right? It's because you are defining the requirements. And then only when you move over to software does design somehow get relegated to an optional activity. And it's a shame. But when I typically pitch design in our services, I'm pitching it not about the UX design and creating the screen. That's certainly part of it, but I'm sussing out the fact that I'm leading with the fact that we are defining requirements so that the rest of the process, the development, the QA, everything is much more fluid and seamless and efficient. And therefore, our services are a cost savings and can pay for themselves. And I'm only saying that, I'm not pitching my company. What I'm doing is saying it might be that that's how you would have to lead as well, perhaps. And focusing on the fact, look, you've been doing this for a long time, more than the juniors have been, by a long shot. So it might be worth considering how you can change how you pitch yourself and not necessarily have to pivot, doing front end development or things like that. It might be that it's just a way of changing how you define the value that you provide, and saying that, look, because of my ability to understand requirements, define requirements in terms of the designs and in terms, of course, all the value that UX brings in terms of the the ability for the software to be much more usable and to reduce rework later on, thinking ahead about all these things that eventually could cause problems, cause the development team to have to rework. And of course, if you can do other things too, like writing user stories and things like that, contributing in a way that say, hey, I can do a lot of these capabilities, all of those that are going to fit into requirements definition, then maybe that's another way to pitch your own services, right? A junior's not going to be able to do that. There's just things that you learn in your career as you progress, right? And you understand, okay, if I'm going to be working on defining how certain features are going to work in software, then I need to think about not only these features and these, what problems I'm solving for that particular kind of user, but also say how the administration is going to be handled, right? How are you going to administrate that feature? Having that well-rounded understanding and beyond perhaps what a junior might be able to understand, I think is going to provide real value. And that's again how I pitch our services, and it works pretty well. So I hope this is helpful for you, and you take care. Okay, bye.